Hey everyone, thanks for joining Learn to Play Games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I'm going to be playing through Catharsis. This is a brand new one from Cyber Wizard Games, and is one I found at this year's PAX Unplugged convention, and had a really good time with, so I wanted to reach out to them and do some coverage, as they are launching a brand new campaign that is going to introduce some new expansion materials to the game. So this one is normally a 1 to 4 player game that can be expanded to 5, 6, and even 7 players depending upon which deck you've chosen to use in the game. Now with this one, it normally takes about an hour to 2 hours to play and is a fully cooperative game where all the players are working together to defeat whichever boss deck they've chosen to go against. So in this video I'm going to be playing through using the very first boss deck that's recommended, which is the Corrupted Horse. And I'm going to go up against him with 2 different heroes that I'm going to be controlling. Normally, again, you can play however you want, but normally each player is going to control 1 hero, and you're going to be working together to make your way through that deck. Now, each boss deck is going to work a little bit differently, and is going to be comprised of a number of different cards, including enemy cards, trap cards, event cards, and other types of cards that the players are going to have to deal with, and usually will have to make choices on what happens or what kind of effects they're going to have to resolve with those. Now each player is also going to, again, control their own character, and each character is going to work a little bit differently and has all kinds of different abilities that they're going to be able to activate. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to shuffle up their character deck and randomly draw 6 cards from that deck, and that will be the character's starting cards that they're going to be able to work with. From there, they're going to be rolling their dice during their turn to activate some of the abilities on those cards. Now the cards that they have available to them are also going to count as their health, and so as they activate those abilities, they're going to exhaust those cards, flipping them over, and as they take wounds, they're also going to select cards from their area that they want to exhaust. If they don't have any cards that they can exhaust, then they have to start discarding cards, which is really bad, as that is going to decrease the amount of cards that they have access to, as well as their remaining health for the rest of the game. Now there's very few ways where you can regain cards back into your overall deck after that. So from here, as always, if you find my videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow, be able to produce this content. If you want to get notified anytime I drop new videos, also give that notification bell a ring, and that'll let you know whenever I drop new stuff, as I'm constantly dropping new videos, including other playthrough videos, teaching videos, Kickstarter coverage videos, and many others. So if you always want to know when I drop new stuff, give that notification bell a ring. Other than that, let's go ahead and head to the table, and we'll see how this one plays. Alright, so now that I have all of my cards laid out and I'm ready to move into the game, the last thing I want to do before getting into this is to explain the 2 characters that I've chosen to play with, as these characters are very unique and interesting in their own right, and don't normally fit into the same kind of fantasy that you would normally expect. So the 2 characters I chose were the Fallen Paladin, and with him he is very pious, and throughout his time at the Reliquary he found a suit of armor that he decided to use, which was a magical suit of armor that wants to protect him as he wants to protect others, so he's constantly fighting with his suit to be able to handle some of that. So he has some really interesting abilities. First off, with him, he can help prevent damage to other players, reducing the amount of damage that they take by 1 each turn. And each time this activates, he gets to put a counter on his card, his roll card, and then at a later point he can exhaust that card, expending all of that all the tokens on there to do damage to an enemy. So this can be a really powerful effect as he builds up that momentum. And then he also has abilities which I didn't end up pulling in this starting hand, but he'll have abilities that can actually reduce damage or manipulate and change the results of certain things that normally no other character has access to. For example, he has cards that can help other characters reduce damage on event, and trap cards, which no other character in the game has those abilities right now. So that's really interesting on his side, and he's also great at defense, and he can dish out a lot of pain as well. So really cool, multifaceted character. On the other side, I have the Unfortunate Farmer, who again is a very interesting character. So with this guy, he is a farmer, so he's strong. He's been doing a lot of work out in the fields, and he's also been infected by a parasite that has all these spores and funguses that come off of him. So as enemies deal damage to him, these spores explode and infect the enemies with spores that each round of combat will do damage to the enemies based on the number of spores that he has. And then he can manipulate this and augment this by taking spores onto himself and being able to bump up some of his abilities, doing more damage. And then he can reduce every spore that he has a 3-point threshold. So he reduces his spore count by 3 for totaling damage. So he can take damage himself, as well as other characters can take damage if they have spores on them, just like the enemies. But he gets to reduce that, and at the end of each round, each combat, overall combat, he can drop one of those spores, reducing that effect. So it's a balancing act of deciding how many spores you want to take on to augment some of your abilities, as well as trying to get as many spores on enemies as you can, because that's really going to be a way to do a lot of damage on top of everything else that you can do. So really interesting characters. So we'll see how this goes in our game. So from there, the final thing I'm going to do is go ahead and shuffle up my deck. So I have to place my boss card down first, as that's always at the bottom. And then we'll go ahead and shuffle this deck real quick. And that way then we're ready to go and move into things here. And we'll start with our very first card. All right, so let's go ahead and give it a good shuffle. All right, and we're ready to move in. So at this point, we'll go ahead and jump in and reveal our very first card. All right, and so we have an event. This is Inspiring Vista. Breathing heavily, you pause at the top of an arduous climb. The creature you are tracking somehow leapt up a dozen feet at a time. As you recover from your less agile climb and look around, you realize you can see for miles. Despite all the pain and stress, or maybe because of it, this view feels particularly fulfilling. This is the world you are now saving. The primal power of the land, deadly though it may be, reinvigorates you. So the effect with this one is that each player may draw the top 2 cards of their deck, and they may choose one of those cards and discard the other. Add the chosen card to their play area. If this would give that player more than 6 powers on their board, then they must first discard a power. So that's really neat. So that basically lets each one of our characters look at the top 2 cards, and if they like one, then they can replace one of the other ones that they have. Oof, this is a massive damage dealer. You can deal 8. I need 4 or 5 4s to be able to activate that. Or if I get 6 2s, I could deal 10 damage and deal 8 additional damage if you discard a power. Wow, that's a big one. Or I can do this one, which is just, I need a pair to do 3 damage. And I have uncontrolled counter up to twice this turn. If you take damage, you can deal 4 damage to the source. So as nice as that one it would be, this one is actually a little bit more doable as far as the dice are concerned. So I think I'll replace, do I want this one? Yeah, I'll replace the Godly Voice and take that one. So then I'll go ahead and just discard those. And then on the farmer's side, let's see what we get. I have From My Breath to Yours. Remove a spore counter from yourself. If you do, give a target a spore counter. Okay, that was pretty good. Or target gains 2 spore counters. You may increase this by 1 for each spore counter you chose to gain, maximum of 3. Or Seed Pouch. Deal 3 damage. Put a spore counter on a monster or boss. Gain a spore counter to increase both by 1. Or I have the healing effect. So both of these are actually pretty good. I think maybe taking this one away, and I do like the healing abilities on that. I think I have a fair amount that can put spores on, but this one lets me remove from myself, which is rare, so I think I'm going to take that one and see how that goes. All right, so then this is going to be discarded as we handle this, and then it would move into, each round is played over 3 phases. You have the player phase where you activate your characters. Then you have an enemy phase where the enemies activate, which we don't have any. And then finally, there's a refresh phase where you can spend a morale to refresh all of your cards, which we don't have any cards that have been exhausted at this point. So we're ready to move on to the next card. All right, so we have a monster. This is a rabid badger. The badger before you isn't just being ornery. You see foam around its mouth, and its gait is unsteady. You attempt to walk around it, but strangely you find another badger in front of you. You retreat and try a different way around, only to see a third badger, also salvering. Actually, it looks like the same badger. And then you realize that the corrupted land around you is playing some sort of trick, forcing you towards the beast, no matter which way you go. It won't let you proceed except through the rabid animal, and you resignedly prepare to fight past it. Besides, with the lethality of the beast you're hunting, you likely won't be alive long enough for the disease to set in. But that doesn't make getting bitten any less worrisome. So this particular guy has 20 health based on the number of players, and he does 1 damage to the party, and he decreases morale by 1 each time he attacks. So if we could get him in 1 round, that'd be fantastic. All right, let's go ahead and put some counters on him. So 10, 15, and 5. All right, so then it moves into our player turns. And again, this can be done either simultaneously where all the players are rolling their dice and trying to activate their skills, or some players might want to be able to wait for other players to see what they get. As again, each of the players works differently. Some players are better at manipulating dice where they can potentially change other players' dice to help them out, or all kinds of different things. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with my paladin here and see what he can do, as he right now is my really heavy damage dealer for 1 go. So he has 1 here that's 6 damage. I have a couple of 3s, and I have a big one here, an 8. That's 8 damage. And then here's 1 here that does just a couple, but that's going to require all 6 dice to get that one off. So let's go ahead and roll and see what we can get and what we can get out of this. So, all right, so I got 2 5s, a 6, a 4, a 3, and a 1. That one requires a 1, 2, 5, 6, and 2 wilds, so it can be anything. So I do have the 5, 6, and 1. I don't have a 2. Otherwise, I do have a pair of 5s and a 1, 1. I would need another 1 there. And with that one, I do have a 4. So I guess let's hold on to the 5, 6, and 1. And we'll go ahead and roll these and see what happens with that. All right, a 5 and a 6 and a 3. So it's exact same stuff. Well, not quite, but similar. That doesn't necessarily help me. I get to reroll 1 more time if I want to. I need a 2, otherwise this could go bad. So let's go ahead and hold on to the 6. I'll reroll these 2 and see if I can get something. A 3 and a 4. All right, so that's out because I do not have a 2. All right, I do need a pair of 5s here and a pair of 1s, which I did not get. This one does 4 damage. It's a pair and then a wild. So I can do the 2 6s there potentially. So that's the only pair I have, and I can use something else. So let's see if there's anything else I can do here. And then I have another pair that does 3 damage. I don't have another pair. Over here, I need a 1 and a 4. I do have that, so I can do 3. And so I could pair the 5 up with that to do 4 there. I can do these to do 3 more. I could spend this to do 1 additional damage. So let's hold on and see what we can do. So right now we're doing at least 7. So let's see if the farmer can do anything here. So unfortunately, the farmer doesn't have a lot of big power. He can whittle away right now. He doesn't have anything that's going to do big damage, I think. Deal 2 damage and add a spore counter. It's up to 3 foes. So that might be a good one to go after because this is going to do 4 and 2 spore counters. That's going to be 4 dice though. All right, so let's see what we can get there. Maybe we can pull that off. All right, so I've got 4 5s and 2 3s. That is a lot of pairs. Does that help at all? All right, so I do have those two, which could do this one. And then this one needs 2 2s and either 4s or 6s. So none of that's going to help me there. So I guess let's re-roll all this and see if any of that comes up. All right, so I got my 4s, and I got a 5 and a 6. I would need 2 2s. That's not probably going to happen. All right, so do I have anything else at this point? So I do have this. Target gains 2 spore counters. You may increase this by 1 for each spore counter you chose to gain. Or that's 5s, 2 5s and a 4. It's a 2 3 or 1 and 4. That's a pair of 6s. That could potentially work. I need one more 6. So I guess let's go ahead and try that and see if I can get anything else. And not what I was hoping for. All right, can I do anything with that? Need a 2 and a 5, a 5, 4, and 2. Nope. It's a 6, a 4, and a 2. A 5, a 3, and a 1. Nope. Might not have gotten anything with that. So I have a 5 and a 3. So I do have that. Target gains 2 spore counters. You may increase this by. All right, so this is just going to chalk more on him. Pair of 3s and a 1. Or 3 5s. Okay. Yeah, unfortunately I didn't get enough for what I was looking for. But I can, I guess, do some of this stuff. So let's do the 5 and 3 here. All right, so how do I want to do, what order do I want to do this? This one lets me place a spore counter on yourself and then add 2 spore counters to target. You may then increase this by 1 and 2 respectively. All right, so this one will add 2 to me because I will do that. And that will add 4 to him. And then, so that'll activate that. So I'll flip that over and exhaust it. And then this one lets me target gains 2 spore counters. You may increase this by 1 for each spore counter you chose to gain. So I'll just add 2 more to him. I don't think I'm going to gain any more at this point. So I don't want to start tacking on a bunch of stuff just yet. Okay. So from there, then it kicks over to the enemy turn. Well, let's handle this real quick. So I'm not going to use that. I'll go ahead and activate both of these. So that's 7 damage to him. Those will flip over. Okay. And then he's going to attack. He does 1 damage to the party, so I have to choose one of my characters to take a damage. Which I think I'll take it with him. So I'll do... I think I'll take it on this one here. Okay, and then with him, anytime I take damage, let's see, when suffering unprevented damage from any player, monster, or boss, place that many spore counters on the source. So he's going to take another one. And then it's also going to reduce my morale by 1. All right, so then it goes into the refresh phase. So again, I can choose to spend morale to refresh all of my character's abilities, but I don't think I'm going to do that yet. So then we're going to move into a new round of combat. So at this point, now he's going to take damage from all of the spores. So he's got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage on him from that. So this will go away, and he's going to have 3 left on there from that. So he's got a total of 6 hit points left. All right. And then he would take damage because he has got 2, but he gets to ignore the first 3 tokens he has on him. So up until he has 4, he's not going to take any damage from that. All right, so then moving back into our player turns, we have 6 damage left to deal to the badger. At this point, I think I have, let's see, what do we have here? Gain a counter, then deals damage equal to 4 plus the number of counters on yourself. 2 damage. Let's see. I thought I had 1. Let's see, add a spore counter to a target, then trigger the spore effect. That's what I want to do. So if I can activate that, that would be great. So let's see what we can do here. So this one is add a spore counter. So I need a 1, 3, 5 or a 2, 4, 6. So I'm going to go and activate him first. All right, there's a 1, 3, 5. Fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. That lets me add a spore counter to the target and then trigger the spore effect. So the spore effect is to deal damage to him, and that's going to be 8. So that will defeat that enemy. So I'll go ahead and clear all this. Okay. And then that gets spent, and then at the end of combat, when you defeat an enemy, each player gets to refresh 2 of their cards. So I think I will do that one there. And what's the other one I used? I think it was this one. Yeah, these are the 2 that really put on a lot of spores. And then I get to remove 1 spore from him if I choose to. I don't have to, but I can choose to. All right, and then on my other guy here, he only used 2, so I'm going to go ahead and refresh both of those. So he's coming into the next combat. Good. All right, from there, then we're on to a new round. Again, I can, at this point, after I resolve that card, before I reveal the next card, I can again spend morale to refresh all that, but I think I'm going to continue from here. So let's see what happens next. So we have Event, the Fallen Hive. To keep your morale high, you decide to have a throwing competition. You started easy with hitting a tree trunk or rock, and then you started increasing the challenges, choosing smaller and smaller targets, like the flower heads or branches. The problem is that one stray throw at a twig hit a nearby hive, causing it to fall to the ground. You hold your breath, waiting to see what emerges. Was it a hornet's nest or filled with honey? So from there, then the effect is that I can choose a player, they roll a die. If the result is even, they take damage equal to half the value. If it is odd, they heal 1 damage. Ooh, so the question is, do I risk it with him, which would, if I can get an odd, then he's going to go into the next combat a lot better as he'll only have 1 card with damage. Otherwise, if it's even, he could come into the next combat even more damaged. Well, let's go ahead and give it a go. So I'm looking for odd. Come on, odd. It's a 2. It's even. So if the result is even, they take damage equal to half the value. So I'm going to take 1 damage from that. So I have to flip over 1 card. I think I'll do this one. All right. So that did not work out in my favor. So again, I could spend, but I think I'm still okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the next card. We'll see if this works out. So this is an event, Spores. The path continues through a corpse of willowy trees. Whatever you are chasing brushed up against some of these trees along the way, leaving deep furrows in the soft bark. One of the trees was dead and had mushrooms growing on it. Mushrooms that absorb the corruption that they now release into their spores. You realize a bit too late that the air is thickening. You're all breathed in the spores. Hopefully they aren't dangerous. So with this one, the effect is each player rolls a die. On a 5 or 6, that player heals 1. On a 1 or a 2, that player takes 3 damage. And on a 3 or 4, nothing happens. All right, so let's see if our players are lucky or not here. And they are. Okay, so we have a 3 or 4, so nothing happens to our paladin. And unfortunately, on the other side, our player takes 3 damage. So he is going to lose all the rest of his health. So he's down to no health at this point, but he hasn't lost any cards yet. So that works out there. And at this point, I think I'm going to have to spend a morale, even though I didn't really want to refresh him. Otherwise, that would not be good at all. Going into that next combat with no health. or next something. We don't know what's going to come up here yet. All right, so next card is a trap, quicksand. Everyone says that quicksands can only be found on the desert. Everyone is wrong, as you are finding out, especially when the quicksand is a trap set by some opportunistic bandits looking to raid your supplies. Even worse, the sand is getting everywhere, including inside your armor and your shoes. Even if you survive the bandit raid and can pull yourself out, you will be feeling the effects of the sand for days, making movement uncomfortable. But if you fight off the bandits, then you will still have your supplies. Small consolation, but small is better than none. So the effect is to decrease the morale by 4. Each player may choose to take 2 damage to prevent 1 morale loss, once per player. So each of us could take 2 damage to prevent 1 morale, which means I'm still going to lose 2, which when it drops down to here, then I'm going to take an additional damage from that as well. So that's 3 damage per player. Ugh, that stinks. Do I have anything for him? I don't think I have anything for traps yet. No, doesn't look like it. All right, unfortunately. Okay. So the question is it worth it? Well, like, taking the morale loss is not good. So, all right, I guess we're going to go ahead and try it. All right, and the reason I did that is each player can take 2 damage to reduce that loss of morale by 1. So now I'm only losing 2, 1, 2. But now that I've hit this threshold, everyone takes 1 damage. So that's why I flipped over the 3rd card and resolved that. All right, so again, I could choose to take another morale loss to refresh, or I can go into the next card at half strength, which at that point I basically would just need to make it through 1 round of combat if it's a combat card. I'm going to go ahead and risk it. All right, so we have another event. We have the collapsing tree. The tree was rotted all the way through, and when you walked past, the wind picked up. You hear an ominous creaking at first, and then a resounding crack as the wind continues to howl. The force of the wind intensifies, and the crack turns into something more as the tree falls towards you. The sounds are almost not enough warning. You manage to get out of the way physically unscathed, but what about mentally? So roll a die. On a 6, easily avoided, nothing happens. On a 4 or 5, a near miss, decrease morale by 1. A 2 or 3 is shaken, decrease morale by 2. And 1 is unnerved, I'm going to drop it by 3, so more morale damage. The paladin, let's go ahead and roll him and see if he can do any better. My plagued farmer has not been good with rolls. It's a 4, so it's just 1. Okay, so not horrible. Okay. All right, so again, at this point, I can spend to refresh, but I think we're going to push on. We've had a lot of events. There's got to be an enemy coming up here shortly. It's a trap. Sinkhole. Yet another day on the hunt where you feel like you're just falling behind, not catching up to your target. The frustration keeps building to an untenable level. Maybe it's the corruption enhancing your feelings. Maybe it's seeing such a beautiful forest being ravaged. Whatever it is, you feel the need to rush forward in an attempt to find your prey before the entire forest is corrupted. Haste in these woods is very dangerous, though a fact you remember as you miss the signs of unstable ground. At least until the ground gives way beneath your feet. You barely have time to react. All right, so again, the effect is that I'm going to choose 1. I can fall on top of your supplies, lose morale equal to the number of players. So again, that would drop me by 2. Or let your supplies fall on top of you, deal 1 damage to each player equal to 1 plus the number of players. Damage to each player equal to 1 plus the number of players. All right, so it's either 2 morale or each one of our players would take 3 damage. Well, I might as well take the 3 damage per player and then just drop morale by 1 and refresh everything. So I think that's what I'll do. So I'll flip all the cards over. I'm going to drop my morale by 1, and that'll let me refresh all of my cards. So we will see if that pays off. All right, so that was a rough shuffle so far. We've had a ton of events and traps so far, but that hopefully means that we'll have some better stuff later on. All right, next card is a monster. So we have the Dust Devil. You've come across one of the earliest patches of corruption. The plants withered away to dry dust, and the earth cracked and black. As you step on it, the dark energies coalesce, creating a vortex of wind, picking up the death and decay spread throughout the area. The whirlwind of sand and dust swirls with something akin to intelligence. The volatile energies start to dissipate almost as fast as they come together, resulting in the creature flaking away even as it attacks. It is not long for this world, but while it exists, it is deadly. All right, so this one has 13 hit points. So just put 2 5s and 3 on there. All right. And with this one, it deals damage to the party equal to this foe's remaining health. So the more health it has, the more damage it's going to do to us. And then its special is the Dust Devil's violent gusts leave you winded. If the Dust Devil attacked, the party does not refresh after the attack. And then its special is it's gone as quickly as it formed. The unnatural magics absorbed back into the ground. Discard the Dust Devil at the end of the combat round, even if it is not defeated. So it's a one and done. So either we defeat him here and don't suffer the effects, or we're going to suffer the effects and then he's just going to poof away anyways. All right, so let's go ahead and start with my Paladin and see if I can deal some good damage to him. If I can get that 8 pointer off, that would be fantastic. And that would only leave 5 points for my farmer to deal with. So let's see what we can do here. All right, there's a 2. Lots of 4s and a 5. So I do need a 2 and a 5. And then I still need a 1 and a 6. So let's see if I can get those. I got the 1. I still need a 6. So let's see if I can get the 6. There it is. And a pair of 1s. All right, so that meets the requirements of that. So that is 8 damage to the Dust Devil. So that leaves him with 5. And over to my other guy here to see if we can handle this. What can I do for that? Deal 3 damage, prevent 1 damage. You may increase both by 1 if you gain a spore counter. So that would bump it up to 4. That's not going to quite do it. Deal damage equal to 2 plus the number of spore counters on yourself. Gain a spore counter, then deal damage equal to 4 plus the number of spore counters on yourself. That would be the one. Other than that, I'd have to activate like a couple. I think I'd have to activate a couple of cards to be able to pull that off. Yeah, so let's go ahead and go after that. So gain a spore counter, then deal 4 plus the number of spore counters on yourself. So it's a 2 5 or 2 6s. All right, so there's the 2 5. All right, so I'll go ahead and activate that. I'm not even going to worry about the rest. So I gain a spore counter. And then I'm going to deal 4 plus the number of spore counters on yourself, which is 2. So that's more than enough to take care of him. All right, so that is going to defeat him. And so the Dust Devil's violent gusts leave you winded. If the Dust Devil attacked, your party does not refresh after battle. So I do get to refresh after battle because he did not get to attack. So I get to heal 2, so I'll leave that one up. And then I'm going to go ahead and remove 1 counter from my guy there. All right, so that was the Dust Devil. And then again, during the refresh phase, I'm not going to spend a morale to recover because I'm fully healed. So let's go ahead and jump into the next card. It's a monster. So this is the fruited treant. Each wood is protected by a treant. Some are small and others tower over people, but all have one thing in common. They don't move unless their life is threatened. They know they can rebuild a forest given time. So even if the last tree would be chopped down, they will simply bide their time ready to begin the replanting from the fruit of their branches. That this wood's treant is moving is deeply concerning. That this wood's treant is charging you while thorns and razor-sharp leaves bloom across its surface is even more so. Woof, this guy's got 45 hit points. He deals 3 damage to the party, and then on defeats, the party picks the fruit growing among the treant's branches, and the party restores 1 morale. So that's not too bad. All right, so he's got a ton of hit points here at 45. Let's see what we can do here. So this is going to be a little bit of a longer fight here. All right, he's going to be a big one for this, to try to get spores on him as fast as he can to really start eating at him quick. So I guess let's go ahead and start here and see what we can do with this. Getting that 8 off the bat would probably be good. All right, there's a 1, 4 4s, oof, and a 6. Well, that would have been a good card to have that other one that I needed all those 4s for. All right, so I do have the 1 and 6 for that. That's pretty much it right now. So the rest isn't going to necessarily help. Replace this power, prevent 3 damage to a player. That would not be bad either. That could stop 1 round of combat. Need a 2, 4, 5. Let's hold on to that and see what happens here. All right, there's another 1, a 5, and another 4. So I still don't have a 2 for that. I do have the 2 1s. I don't have another 5. I thought I had another 5. I guess I don't. Well, I guess let's roll this and see what I get. Because what else do I have here? It's a 4 right now. I don't know if I have anything right now that I can do. Well, I have a couple, yeah. All right, let's see what happens here. It's a 3, so what can I do with this? I have a pair, so I could do 3 damage with that. I do have a pair. I can do this one as well to do 4 damage. All right, so I could activate this to prevent 3 damage to another player. That would nullify his attack this turn because I could have the other player take it all. So I might do that. I don't think I'm going to be able to do any damage though. I have a 4, 5, and 6. I don't think I have anything else. I do not. Yeah, unfortunately, that was not helpful. All right, so I guess that's all I'm going to be able to do. And so we'll move over to my other character to go. All right, so I think with this guy, a spore counter to the target, then trigger the spore effect, deal 2 damage, and add a spore counter up to 3 foes. I think this is the spore burst is the one I really want. So I need a pair of 2s or a 3 and a 5 for that. All right, so let's start with that and see what I can get here. All right, so I have 2 5s, a 6, 2, 3, 4. All right, I do have the 5 and the 3 for that. So I have to place a spore counter on myself for that one, and then add 2 spore counters to the target. We increase this by 1 and 2 respectively. So I think I will do that, adding another 1 to myself and 2 more to him. So I could potentially do that. All right, so let's do that. I'll add 2 more to him. So that puts him up to 6. So let's go ahead and clear these. Add 2 3s. All right. And then if I can get a 2 or a 3, let me deal 2 damage plus the number of spore counters on yourself. That's 5 more. So that'd be great. That's a 6. All right. Unfortunately, that was not what I needed. Pair of 6s there. Can't activate either one of those. I don't have anything else. All right, so nothing there, but I did add 6 counters to him, so that's really nice. All right, so at this point, then it would go into his turn. He would activate, dealing 3 damage to the party. I did activate this, which is going to prevent 3 damage to one player, so I would choose him to take it, and then I would go ahead and do that. If the dice used in this power are all the same, I have different dice, then only one damage. All right, so that'll flip over. And then these 2 are going to get cleared. All right. And that is the end of the round. Then we move into the refresh, where again we could spend a morale to refresh. I'm not going to, I think, at this point. So moving into a new round, he's going to start by taking 6 damage. I'll just place those over there for now because we might need them. All right, so that's our first damage on him. And who do I want to start with? I think I'll go back over here to my Plague Farmer. Let's see what we can do here. So with this one, I'd be good to start removing tokens from him. So we'll counter. I don't want to do that one yet. Or that one would be good too. I might be able to activate both of them if I'm really lucky. I would need lots of 2s. Let's see what I can do. No 2s. I have lots of 3s. All right, so I do need a 3 here. So I could start working towards that. Either way, I need a lot of 2s there. So, but I do need 6 there. Yeah, so that's my first roll. So let's see what I get next. It's cracked. 1, lots of 6s, and a 5. All right, so I think I'll hold on to the other 6. I'm going to try these one more time, see what we can get here. Maybe I'll make something happen. All right, 1, 3, and 6. So still no 2s. The 2s were nowhere to be found. I should have held on to the 4. I think I had a 4. Could have activated it on that side. All right, and I don't have any 5s either. So add a spore counter to target, then trigger the spore effects. So this might be a completely busted turn. Gain a spore counter, then deal damage equal to 4 times plus the number of spore counters in yourself. So that would do some damage, but now I'm going to be taking damage. 5s, 3s, and 1. I do have that. Deal 3 damage, prevent 1 damage. You may increase both by 1 if you gain a spore counter. So I might have to do that. That at least is something. Otherwise, don't have enough for that. I don't have the 5. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I can do at this point. Unless I just want to do that. Yeah, I guess that's not so bad. All right, let's go ahead and try it. See if we can get something going here. All right, so I'm going to do that. It says I gain a spore counter. And then I'm going to deal damage equal to 4 plus the number of spore counters on yourself. So I have 4, so that's 8 damage. So I'm going to drop to 10 and take 2 back. Place that. All right. And then the rest of these I think are just wasted at this point. I don't think I have anything else that I can do. So well, I still have those. I could do this. Is 3 damage and prevent 1. Yeah, I think I'm going to need to soak the points too, though. Well, all right, yeah, why not? Let's go ahead and activate it. All right, so this one as well, so that deals 3 damage. And then I prevent 1 damage. I may increase both. I'm not going to take the counter, so I'm going to be able to prevent 1 damage that hits me as well. All right, over to my Paladin. Let's see what I can do with him. All right, there's 5, 6, 2. That's pretty close. I'm almost at that one. So let's go ahead and roll these again. I need a 1 at this point. I can activate the big one. There it is. All right, so I'll use that. So I'm going to go ahead and trigger that to do 8. So let's go ahead and cash this in. And 25, so I need 17. There's that. All right, so that is the end of the player turn. So move into the monster turn. He's going to attack, dealing 3 damage to the party. I'm going to reduce that by 1, which lets me add a counter on here. Okay. And then he prevents 1 damage, so he's only going to take 1 damage from this. So I will go ahead and flip this over, I think. Yeah, because it's based, I'm going to have to do something anyways. All right, so since I took a damage, I'm going to add another token there. And that's it. So then the refresh phase. So I am going to spend morale to refresh. So that will flip these 2 back over. And then he's going to regain all his stuff. Okay. And then I have to take a wound at the start of the new round because I have 1 extra counter on there. And then he is going to take 7. Okay. All right, back into our turns. Let's go ahead and start with my Paladin first and see what I can do here. If I can trigger that again, that'd be pretty cool. That's a lot of 1s. 3, 5, and 4. All right. Pair of 5s. Do have that. Yeah, at this point, I still need a 6 and a 2 for that. All right, what else do we got here? I need 2 5s and 2 1s. Let's hold on to these and this, and we'll see what happens with these. There's the other 5. And then if I could get, do I feel that a 2 or a 1 is more possible? They're both 16% odds, but I'm going to go with this one. I'm feeling 2s. Nope. It was close. I could use it on that to do 1. So right now I do 6, which would drop him down. So let's handle that first. So flip that over. It's going to leave him 4. I got 4 and 3, so 7. So I just basically need to trigger his thing to go off again. That, so I don't necessarily need to spend to do the extra point of damage. All right, so then let's kick it over to my guy over here. So I just need this, which is either 1, 3, 5 or 2, 4, 6. There's a 2, a 6. So it looks like I'm going the even way. All right, that's a lot of 5s. All right, let's see what else we get here. Need a 4. I got 2s and 5s again. All right, is there anything else I can do? It's a 3 and a 4 or 2 and 6. So I could do this. Lets me remove a counter for myself. Give one to a target. So let's go ahead and trigger that. So basically transfer 1 over to there. And I have 2s and 5s. I had 2s and 6s. That would be a little better. All right. Pair of 3s are 1 and a 2. So I'm going to roll these over and try for another 1. That would be great. I did not get it. That's there's all the 2s. That's where all my 2s were. 2 support counters to target. Nope, don't want to do that. All right. I think that is it for the turn. And there's no point in doing the extra damage. So he's going to do 3 damage to the party. I will reduce that by 2, or by 1. And I'll put 2 on him, which reduces that by 1. So he takes 1. Doesn't really matter. And then I will take 1 as well. So I'll do it on this one. All right. That will end that. Then the refresh phase, I think I'm going to hold there and not do the refresh. Then it's going to go into the new round. He's going to take 8 damage, which will finish him off. And then I don't take anything else. That's the end of combat, so I do get to remove one of these if I want to, which I do. And then each one of our characters gets to heal 2. So I'll flip both those back over, and then I'll do this one, and was it that one? Yeah, I think it was that one that I wanted. Yeah. All right. We'll just go ahead and clear these. And he is over with. Oh, and then I do get something from him. So the party picks the fruits growing among the treant's branches. The party restores 1 morale. So that's good. All right, on to the next card. Because, yeah, I'm not going to spend it to refresh. So we have another monster now. This is a Dryad. The Dryad lunges up from the hiding place in the ground, a skilled hunter and part of an elite order of Fae who take defending their realm very seriously. Her movements are sinuous, more like a snake ready to strike than a gentle forest spirit. She views you as trespassers in her territory, and like an angered hornet's nest, she will attack until you are dead or driven away. Unfortunately, you do not speak her language, eliminating the possibility of parleying for peace. And as one of the more powerful Fae, the plants around her move to her whims, barring your ability to leave. She gives you no remorse or no recourse other than to fight. All right, so she's got 10 hit points, so she's not a lot of hit points, but she has a nasty ability. So with the Dryad's nature magic hinders your ability to move effectively. Players may not reroll dice unless a power specifically requires it. So it's 1 roll and done. So hopefully we'll be able to do some damage here, but there's no guarantees. And then she's going to do damage to the party based on the number of players, so she would do 3 damage to us each round. So let's go ahead and see what happens here. So let's go ahead and start with my paladin and see if I can hopefully do some damage to her. That'd be great if I could get something good. All right, so we have lots of 4s, a 5, a 6, and a 3. Now the question is, can I do anything with that? I could do this, which is, I need a pair and then something else. So can I do anything else with what I have? So I think it's just going to be the 4 damage. I don't think I have anything else at the moment, so that's going to leave, unfortunately, a fair amount to to my poor farmer. So hopefully he's going to get lucky with that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. That's 4 damage, leaving her with 6. So that would be good, but let's go ahead and roll first and see what I can get, because there's no point in looking at stuff until I know what I got to work with here. All right, 6s, 3s, and a 2. That's a lot of pairs here. This one was a 2 and 6. I don't have the other 6 I would need. That would have been handy, so I could have taken one away, then added one, and then popped that. But I think this is my best bet. So I'm going to gain a spore counter. And then I deal 4 plus the number of counters, so that's 7 damage, so that will eliminate her. Then that was just this one I used, so I won't end up using those other ones. So that's the end of combat, as she does not get to retaliate then. So I get to refresh 2. I get to take 1 away. And then he gets to refresh his. And that defeats her. Okay, so that worked out. That was pretty good. So that's been, what, 3 monsters in a row? Yep. All right. That is it. And then she didn't give us anything else. So on to the next card. I'm fully healed, so I don't want to do anything else. All right, so we have special. This is Aura of Death. A wise woman steps out from behind a tree way too small to have hidden her. She smiles wickedly at you as the foliage around her blackens. I will give you my blessing, she says. All you must do is taste a bit of death itself. A player may discard 2 powers to take this card and add it to their board. And this one lets me, at the start of combat, I may exhaust any number of powers, including this one, to deal 4 damage per exhausted power. Man, that's really powerful. Now, I didn't have to do that. So I could just simply forego it, but that is a really nice spell. I think it will come in handy as we get further along here. All right, so that is the end of that. So next we have a monster, mosquitoes. So some people think mosquitoes are mere annoyances. These people have never faced a swarm of them touched by the taint of corruption. The insects are so numerous, they nearly blanket the sky. They hone in on your party like a hawk descending on a field mouse. As they approach, you realize they aren't much bigger than normal mosquitoes. It's just their sheer number that is dangerous. While they won't deal much damage, the true danger in their ability is to sap your will to continue on as their bites seem to suck out your energy and emotions with your blood. So they're going to have 20 hit points. So let's go ahead and take care of that. And on this one, their damage, they decrease the morale by 1. And looking at the bugs surrounding you, you feel a sense of accomplishment. Hopefully the rest of your foes fall like this, increase morale by 1. So that's pretty nice. So moving into it, that might be a perfect time for this spell. So at the start of combat, you may exhaust any number of powers, including this one, to deal 4 damage per exhausted power. So let's do that for 1. I could do them all and just kill it outright. And then it would basically nullify that at the start of combat. So I think I have to do this before I could roll or anything. So yeah, I guess let's go ahead and do that. For 4, 8. 12. I think I'll stay there and see. I know I could do it all and wipe them out, but I don't think that's a lot of fun. So let's go ahead and try that. All right, then moving into our turns. Let's go ahead and see what our paladin can do here. All right, so I got the 2 1s, 2 6s, 4 and a 5. So I could activate both of those and do 7 more, almost finishing her off. So, all right, I know what I have here. So let's bounce over to my other player here and see what I can do with him. All right, so I got 2 1s, a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. All right, 3 and a 4, so I could spend those to do that, to remove 1 and add 1. So let's do that. And then I could activate this one. This one lets me remove a counter from a target and deal 4 damage to the target. So I think I'll do that, leaving 4 damage left behind. And then I have a 1 and a 5 left over, which I could re-roll, but probably not going to do much else. So I'm going to go ahead and spend these and that to do this one. That does 4 more damage. And that will finish off the rest of the mosquito swarms. So they do not get to attack. They will let me increase my morale by 1. And I do get to heal 2. So I basically will refresh both of those. So he'll be at full strength. And then let's go ahead and do this one here. And that one. All right. And I think I am going to hold off on using the morale to refresh because he's at full health. So he could potentially take the brunt of most of things that are going to come up here. So let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we have an event, Refreshing Fruit. You find a tree with a single beautiful ripe fruit hanging from it, glowing softly. Well, normally something to avoid, especially in a forest overcome with corruption. You can tell that this is something different, something pure. Upon picking it, you see the glow start to fade, and with it, the feeling of purity starts to leave. 2. There's enough time for one person to eat it before it loses its glow entirely, or you can save it for later to help refresh your mind. So the effect is to choose a player. That player replaces up to 2 cards, or you can increase the morale by 1. I think I'm just going to increase the morale by 1. That sounds pretty good. All right. So that was a helpful event. All right, moving on. All right, so now we have another event. This is the Hidden Cache. So the rangers who patrol the woods are known to secret away caches so that in the event they run low on supplies, they can restock. And they are meant as a communal resource. Anyone in need can take the supplies, with the exception that you will later leave a cache of your own. You spot one such cache in a trunk of a nearby tree, but you are caught off guard by a pack of chipmunks rushing towards you to defend their makeshift home. That's hilarious. All right, so I can choose one option. I can snatch what you can, roll a die on a, what was that, 5? Yeah, 5 or 6. I get to restore 1 morale. Or I can gain strength from their resolve. If even these small creatures can fight, you probably can too. The party takes damage equal to the current lost morale, then roll a die, increase morale by that much. That could be pretty good. So currently I've lost 4 morale, so the party could take 4 damage, and then I would roll, and then based on what I roll, I would gain stuff back. So yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Well, it'd probably be worth it just to take a bunch. So I'm just going to go ahead and flip 4 over. I'll do 1 with him too. Okay. All right, then we roll. Who's rolling? Let's go with the paladin. Let's see what we get here. Did I take the damage for nothing? I got 3. All right, so that's pretty good. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that gives me 2 more than I would have gotten if I would have just tried to snatch and run, if I would have rolled a 5 or 6. So at the end of this, I will spend 1 to refresh, so all of my stuff comes back. All right. And we're getting down there. We don't have too terribly much left. All right, next one is a special, Felling Blow. You see a man with dead beasts and felled trees alike littering the ground around him. I struck with each one with only 1 blow, he brags, and then he sizes you up and gestures at one of your party. You might be able to learn a lesser version of my perfect strike. A player may discard 2 powers to take this card and add it to their board. This one is a 2, 3, 4, 5, will deal 6 or 8 damage. Okay, let's go ahead and give it a try. So I think I will drop these two and take that. All right, on to the next card, as I don't need to do anything else. So we have a trap. This is deadly terrain. Nothing could prepare you for this, not even your years of travel, training, and adventuring before. Between the dangerous climbs, animated vegetation, and murky loom in that one swamp, you feel the strains of the adventure wearing away at you. All the pain and all the frustration of hunting a creature that transforms the world around it into an increasingly nightmarish reality is starting to affect your will to continue. So we have to choose one. We can push through. Each player exhausts 3 powers. The party may not spend morale to refresh after resolving this card. This option can only be chosen if players have at least 3 unexhausted powers. Despite the pain, one player discards a power, or nothing will stop you, decrease morale by 1. I do have a lot of morale at this point, so I think that might be the best option. Now, and then each one of these abilities only triggers once. So now that I've already resolved the damage, even if this kicks back, I won't have to suffer that again. So knowing that going into this isn't too bad. All right, so I resolve that, and we're on to the next card. All right, so we have a monster. This is land leeches. Land leeches have medicinal properties, but normally you are dealing with one at a time placed by a trained physician. When applying judiciously, they can help accelerate healing, although the process is incredibly painful. The swarming mass before you is unlikely to be satisfied with just a little of your blood, though. If you focus on ripping them off when they attach to you, you will likely leave bleeding wounds. But if you let them eat their fill, while you will suffer increased pain, you might find yourself a bit healthier than when you started, so long as you don't die in the process. All right, so they have 20 hit points. So let's do this. All right, and then damage, 1 morale damage, deal each player 1 damage, and you skip the refresh phase this round, or 1 morale damage and deal each player 3 damage. Oof, they are nasty. Well, they have 20 hit points, so I think this aura is going to come in handy again. So I'm going to go ahead and pop that for 4. There's 8, 12. I'm going to go with 16. So 16 damage. So he's down to 4. I think I should be able to handle that. So let's see what I can do with the farmer. Move over him first. All right. Actually, and then he triggers that special blow, which is 8 damage. And that'll take care of him. All right, that works out. All right, so he refreshes that, and I get to refresh 2 cards. So let's do this one and this one. All right. And that will take care of him. All right, so we are moving along here, and we're getting down to it. So do I want to pop morale at this point? I think I'm okay. So let's go ahead and go on. All right, so we have a trap. This is corrosive spores. You come across a field of flowers, but the obvious signs of corruption indicate that you shouldn't walk through them. You see indications of the overly long thorns in their midst, and there's small wisps of smoke arising from whenever they drip their poison onto the ground. So you walk around the field. Unfortunately, the corruption has spread further than you thought, and you are surprised by the part of the land rising up to reveal a mushroom creature ready to attack. But before you can run away, it prepares to breathe spores that eat flesh and armor alike. Well, that doesn't sound very nice. Choose one option. You can rush past. Each player discards a power. Defend your friends. One player takes damage equal to the number of players plus 2. Or backtrack, decrease morale until it reaches the next lowest tier. All right, so I'm right there. So I could just drop 1 morale and take care of that. So I think that's my best option, is I only have to lose 1 to go into the next lowest tier. I think that'll work out. All right, let's go ahead and move on. All right, so we have an event. So this is an angry fae. The fae are fickle, and though rare, they do inhabit these woods. A fact you are discovering right this very moment, as a small cloud of them surrounds you. They flit and dart around you faster than you can track. Although you think you see them waving something in their hands, you pray to the gods it's not a weapon or implements of mischief. All right, choose a player. They roll a die and check below for what happens. You can have a Fey Blessing. Keep this card. You may discard it as a 1 in a future battle. Spell of Healing. Party heals 2. The Fey Prank. Take a damage. Natural Resolve. Increase morale by 1. Fey Malice. Take 2 damage. Or whisked away on a 6. Now let's go with the Farmer and see what happens with him. It's a 2. So Spell of Healing. The party heals 2. Which works out really well because he had 2 damage that he had taken. All right, not too bad. So they were just working around, just looking for something to help. All right, we're down to 4 cards. All right, so next one is an event, the Brembles. Corrupted Brembles surge forward and start to wrap around everyone. You fight them off vigorously, hoping to avoid their thorns, but they start moving even faster. The stems intertwine between becoming rope-like, and it's all you can do to keep your arms free. After a lot of struggle, you are able to use your weapons to cut yourselves free, but you find some thorns embedded in your skin. The poison they drip has oddly euphoric effect. The effect: each player rolls all of their dice. Any die that comes up as a 6 may be rerolled once. After, remove any dice showing a 6 from the game. Increase morale by 1 for each die removed. Ugh, that doesn't sound very nice. All right, let's start with the paladin here. He's got 1 6. All right, so I don't want another 6 coming up. Of course it came up. All right, so that removes that, and we gain a thing for that. All right, over to my farmer. Oh no. And oh, thank goodness. All right, so he doesn't lose anything. So the paladin loses one, so that spell is pretty much useless at this point. All right, so that is the end of that one, and on to the next one. We have another event. This is Scouting. You come to an outlook that lets you see the paths ahead. You mark that the corrupted beast you hunt upon the land is clear, and you see its meandering path in the blighted trees and the retching landscape below. However, from your vantage point, you see some circuitous paths to avoid the worst of it. It's tempting to make your path easier, but you can afford the loss of time and supplies. All right, so with this one, the effect is to reveal the top 3 cards of the boss deck. The party may choose to remove any number of these cards by paying the cost below. Return the remaining cards in any order. All right, so there's only 1 card left before the boss, so that's pretty much the only one we can do anything with at this point, which is a trap, and it's pheromones. Its effect is each player rolls a die. If they roll even number, they do not participate in the first battle. That would be really bad. So what is our option here? So we can deal 2 damage per player and 1 morale damage. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. So I'll drop that by 1, and then I guess each one of us will take 2. All right. So that will clear pheromones. And that takes care of that, which takes us into the boss battle. And at this point, do I pop a morale to refresh? I think so. We've got plenty to work with here. We've been doing really well managing that. So I think at this point, going into the boss battle at full strength is beneficial. All right, let's see what we got here. All right, so this is the Corrupted Horse. Verses intelligence first corrupted lower intelligence beings. This creature clearly once was a horse, possibly a draft horse from a nearby farmstead. Now, though it has transcended its original form, raw energy crackles along its body, and each hoof strike drawing power from the land below, or maybe from Verses himself. The antler-like appendages wave around like insect arms, weaving arcane patterns. The longer it roams free, the more powerful it will become. You must strike now, but it might already be too late. All right, so this one's got a whopping 40 hit points. So let's go ahead and put some stuff down here. So there's 25, 35. Let's do 30, 5, and 5. All right, so its damage, it deals 2 damage per player to the party and decreases morale by 1. And then it has a special, the monster charges forward, drawing strength from the land, healing itself and sapping your will to fight. At the start of each round, after the first, each player must choose one. The boss heals 4 health or decreases morale by 1. So he is going to start dropping morale quick. All right, well, it just so happens I have some really powerful cards, so let's go ahead and jump in here and see what we can do. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pop that for 4, 8, 12, and 16. And then let's see what I can do over here first before I take care of the rest of that. Well, then it's moving into my stuff. So I would need 9 more points. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to take care of that. All right, so moving into our turns, let's see what I can do with my farmer over here. I almost got the big one again for 8 damage. That would be nice, but being able to get some spores on him would also be beneficial. So let's see what we can do here. Target gains 2 spore counters. You may increase this by 1 for each spore counter you choose to gain. Or I could also do this one, which is a 4 and a 6. So let's go ahead and trigger that. So that's 2 spore counters. And then you may increase this by 1 for each counter you choose to gain. Let's go ahead and add 1 more. And then let's see if we can get this one. All right, so let's kind of flip that over. All right. Place a spore counter on yourself, and then 2 spore counters on your opponent. Okay. So I need a 3 and a 5, so I need another 5. Let's see if I can get something here. This is my first reroll. There's the 5. So that'll take care of that. And I'm going to go ahead and double it, basically. So place a spore counter on yourself, then 2 spore counters on the target, and then you may increase this by 1. And 2 on him. So I have 4. I'll take 1 away. I put him on there. So let's take these as well. Now he's got 7 on him. And then I need a 1 and a 4. So is there a shot at getting that? Let's go ahead and try. That'd be fantastic. This is my last reroll. 1 and a 2. I spent that. Okay. And that's pretty much, yeah, there's nothing else I can do at this point. That was close. That would have been big. All right, back over to my character here. I could activate this, which would be good. All right, I need a 1, 3, and 5. I have a 3 and 5. Nothing there, and last one. There's the 1. Okay. All right, so I think I will activate that ability. So it says up to twice this turn, if you take damage, deal 4 damage to the source. So that'll hopefully help out there. All right. This cannot reduce damage dealt to a player below 1. If you prevent damage this way, put an armor counter on this roll card. All right. So then moving into the boss's turn, he's going to go ahead and attack. He deals 2 damage per player to the party. So that's 4 damage coming our way. And then I can decrease morale by 1. And I have to decrease morale by 1. All right. So that's going to go down 1. He's dealing 4 damage to the party. I am going to, up to twice this turn, if you take damage, so I am going to take 1 damage. So I'm going to go ahead and drop this card out of the way because I can't activate it anyways. What's the bottom part? Discard this power to prevent morale decreasing by 1 at any time. You may discard a second power to... Okay. So that would have been... I could have potentially used it for that, but I'm not going to. All right, and then he takes 4 damage for that. All right. And then, so I took 1 from that, and then this is going to trigger, reducing his damage by 1, so he's going to take 2 damage. All right, and go ahead and take it on this one. It doesn't really matter. I'm pretty much going to need to refresh after this anyways. And that one. Okay. And then I took 2, so I'm going to put 2 more on him. So now he's up to 9. Okay. That is the end of his turn. The monster charges forward during drawing strength from the lands, healing itself and zapping your will to fight at the start of each round. Okay, so that'll be at the start. So at the end of this round, I am going to spend 1. Then a new round starts. So I think I'm just going to let the boss heal 8. Because otherwise, dropping the morale by 2 would have each one of us taking 2 damage, which definitely would not be good. Which basically means he's just going to take 1 damage from the spawn, or from the spores on there. And then my farmer also has to take 1. So, all right. So I think I'm going to do that. I'll see if I can potentially activate both of those. All right. So he's got 3, 6, 9, 19 hit points left. All right, let's see what we can do here. All right. So it'd be great to activate that one. That does 2 damage plus the number of spore counters on yourself. So that would be 6 damage there. And then if I could do this one lets me remove a spore counter from target and deal 4 damage to the target. For each additional spore counter you remove, maximum of 5, deal an additional 2 damage. That would be really powerful. So I need a lot of low numbers, I think, on this one. All right, come on, farmer. You can do it. All right, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I need a 1 and 2 for that one, or a pair of 3s. And this one needs a 1 and a 4, or a 2 and a 3. All right, so I don't have a 4, so let's go ahead and re-roll these. My second roll, see what I get here. All right, 3s. All right, does this help at all? There's the 4 and the 1. And I need a pair of 3s for that. And this one, remove a spore counter from yourself. If you do, target gains a spore counter. All right, that was the pair of 3s for that one. This one, I chose the 2 and the 3, I think. Or no, he has the 1 and a 4. 1 and 4. 2 or 3, either way would work. Is there any way to trigger that? I need a 3 and a 4. All right, so basically that one, and then I need a 3 on this one. Oh, I got it. Wow. All right, so let's see what we can do here. All right, so let's start with this one. So deal damage equal to 2 plus the number of spore counters on yourself. So that's 6 damage coming his way. So that'll take care of that, and that will resolve that one. And then let's go ahead and do this one. This one lets me remove a spore counter from yourself. If you do, give the target a spore counter. So I basically flip it over to him. And then finally, let's go ahead and trigger this one here, and it lets me remove a spore counter from target to deal 4 damage. And then for each additional spore counter you remove, a maximum of 5. Maximum of 5 total, I think. So 10, so I can take half of those away. All right, so I do 4 for the first and 2 additional for each after that. So that's 8, so 12 damage on that one. So he's left with 1 hit point. All right, Paladin, it's over to you to finish him off. I just need, and I can do that, I just need a pair. Pair would do it. Heck, even that would do it. Well, there's a pair of 4s. That'll do it. Deal 3 damage. Boom. And the boss is dead. Well, that went a lot better than I was expecting. I hope you found the video entertaining as well. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought on this one. Again, this is just the entry-level boss, so things get a lot harder from here on out as you get into some of the more difficult bosses, and each one of them also plays a little bit differently. And then as you can see, each one of the characters also plays very differently and has a very unique role within the party. So depending upon the different characters you play, you're also going to have a vastly different experience. I will have a post or a link in the description below to the Kickstarter page once it launches, and I believe that is on January 24th, if I'm not mistaken. So I will have that in the description below, so for those of you that think that this might be a good fit for you, you can jump in on that one, and I don't know how they're going to do it. If they have extra copies of the core game they might be sending out after the Kickstarter finishes up, or if they're going to ship them all together with the expansions once those are produced or whatnot. So this might be one that you could get fairly quickly, or you could probably go over to their web store and get it right away as well. So that I'm not sure how the Kickstarter is going to go and how they're going to handle that. So you definitely want to check that out once it hits on the 24th. Again, I hope you found the video helpful, and let me know in the comments down below if you noticed anything that I did wrong or if there was anything I could have potentially done better and what your thoughts are on this one. So until next time, I'll see you later.